Have you ever wondered why you sometimes have zero energy to tackle an important task? Yet scrolling through social media feels effortless. Imagine a deadline tomorrow, and you are on your phone for the 100th time. Why you are weird this way? The secret may lie in a brain chemical called dopamine. In this video, we'll break down in plain language what dopamine is, how it shapes our motivation, why modern habits often steal it from us, and most importantly, how to get it back. What is dopamine? Dopamine is often called the happiness hormone or pleasure hormone, but that's a misconception. In reality, dopamine is a neurotransmitter, a chemical messenger in the brain. It transmits signals between neurons and plays a role in reward, learning, movement, and motivation. Simply put, dopamine is the molecule of wanting and anticipation. It doesn't so much produce pleasure itself as drive us toward things that bring pleasure or benefit. For example, when your brain predicts something positive or meaningful like a tasty meal, praise, or achieving a goal, it releases dopamine. That release gives us a burst of excitement and the urge to act. Myth versus reality. Contrary to popular belief, dopamine does not equal happiness or euphoria. It spikes not only from cake or winning but also under stress or even in frightening situations. Its job is to mobilize us for important stimuli. A dopamine deficiency doesn't cause boredom but serious issues. In Parkinson's disease, when dopamine is low, patients suffer from stiff movements and deep apathy. Studies show that low dopamine robs both humans and animals of the desire to act. Dopamine is fuel for motivation, not mere pleasure. How dopamine drives motivation? Dopamine is the ignition switch for motivation. When you see a goal or imagine a reward, dopamine is released and tells your brain, "This matters, let's go!" Thanks to dopamine, we feel bursts of enthusiasm, anticipation of success, and readiness to work. Scientific experiments illustrate this vividly. Lab rats. Researchers lowered dopamine levels in rats, and the rats lost motivation to work for tasty food, opting for easy pellets. When given dopamine-boosting drugs, they eagerly returned to working hard for the reward. A similar effect is observed in humans. In one study, high achievers showed elevated dopamine activity in reward centers, while passive slackers showed dopamine activity more in fear and inertia regions. Bottom line, the higher your dopamine charge when facing a task, the easier it is to start and finish it. Dopamine also gauges effort versus reward. When it's low, any effort seems unjustified, leading to apathy. Conversely, a dopamine surge makes tasks feel meaningful and enticing, sparking the drive to try, persist, and succeed. Where we lose dopamine? Our modern lifestyle turns us into dopamine spendthrifts. Where does our motivation leak away? In countless habits that deliver quick, cheap hits of dopamine but undermine its healthy function. A few key culprits: social media and endless scrolling. Every notification, like, or new post is tiny reward and a dopamine spike. Apps hook us like addicts. Bright images, new messages, and infinite feed. Researchers liken smartphones to a dopamine syringe. It injects a direct hit of reward into the brain, just like a drug. But every spike is followed by a crash. Once you close the app, Your brain plunges into a dopamine deficit below baseline. After an hour of procrastinating on your phone, you feel empty, exhausted, and nothing sparkles. Chronic bombardment of the reward system makes us less sensitive to life's simple joys. As neurobiologist Anna Lembke writes, in a world of excess pleasures, the brain reduces dopamine production below normal, plunging us into a constant lack of enjoyment. We chase our phones for a dopamine hit and end up more bored and unmotivated without them, a vicious cycle. Easy pleasures, cheap dopamine. Sweet and fatty foods, fast food, video games, binge watching, serious, anything that gives an instant thrill with no effort. Grabbing a candy bar is easier than cooking a healthy meal. So the brain picks candy, it floods the system with a sugar dopamine syrup, but overloads, overwhelm dopamine receptors. The brain adapts to easy rewards and demands more stimulus. One episode no longer suffices. No, you binge watch. One cookie isn't enough. You reach for the whole pack. You lose perspective, and after overindulgence, any ordinary pleasure, a walk, reading, project work, feels dull. Habits escalate into dependencies and chronic procrastination. Instead of tackling that tough task, your dopamine-spoiled brain whispers, "Why not something similar and more fun?" So you keep snacking or watching cat videos because they give a quick, fleeting lift, while the real goal still awaits. Stress and anxiety. Paradoxically, chronic stress also disrupts dopamine. On one hand, anxiety drives us toward comfort, our phone, or snacks, and we re-enter the above cycle. On the other, anxiety itself can exhaust the reward system. When life lacks positive reinforcement, dopamine activity fizzles out. Chronic fatigue and burnout often reflect a brain that no longer issues dopamine for normal activities. You feel on autopilot with no spark of interest. These states resemble depression. Low dopamine leads to no motivation and no ability to enjoy life. How to restore dopamine and motivation? Good news! You can recharge your motivation by adjusting lifestyle habits. No need for endless coffee or miracle pills. The best methods are natural and accessible, backed by science. Dopamine detox. Not literal fasting, but a temporary break from overstimulation. Give your brain rest from social media, gaming, and junk food at least one day, ideally a week. During this hiatus, dopamine levels in synapses balance out and receptors regain sensitivity. Psychiatrists note that even one day of digital detox reduces anxiety, and about a month without a favorite fix, for example Instagram, can reset your reward system to normal. Try a brain day off. Swap an hour of TikTok for an hour of walking or reading. You'll feel bored at first, but soon you'll rediscover pleasure in simple things. Then practice moderation, limit social media to, say, 30 minutes a day to prevent slipping back into dependency. Movement and exercise. Physical activity is one of the most effective natural ways to boost dopamine. When you move, run, walk, dancing, any activity, your brain receives a moderate dopamine signal. And regular workouts literally rewire your reward system. One study showed just 8 weeks of moderate training significantly increased receptor sensitivity, your motivation engine. runs more smoothly. Exercise also lowers stress hormones and releases endorphins, so-called happiness hormones, alongside dopamine, leaving you feeling light and optimistic after a workout. You don't need a marathon 20-30 minutes of brisk walking or favorite activity per day is enough. Key: consistency. Over time, you'll crave that healthy dopamine boost. Small steps and rewards. Your brain loves winning tiny battles. Use that. Break big goals into bite-sized tasks and celebrate each milestone. Keep a checklist and cross off items. Or give yourself small treats. A cup of tea after an hour's work. Each win triggers a dopamine burst. Your brain says, "I did it!" and gets motivated for more. Research confirms that achievable short-term goals sustain motivation because you get regular positive reinforcement. Try the Pomodoro method: 25 minutes of work, 5-minute break. Or keep a success journal to note every small achievement. Visualize progress. Your brain needs to see that effort pays off. When starting feels hard, tell yourself, "I'll do just 5 minutes." After 5 minutes, congratulate yourself. It may seem naive, but it programs your brain for a series of victories. Over time, small wins accumulate into big ones, teaching your dopamine system to support you continually. Healthy lifestyle, sleep, nutrition, meditation. Sleep. A full night's rest is essential for proper dopamine levels. Sleep deprivation dulls dopamine receptors, so you wake up exhausted and unmotivated. Studies show a sleep-deprived brain responds poorly to dopamine, so even exciting tasks don't thrill you until you catch up on rest. Aim for 7-8 hours in a dark, quiet room each morning. You reset your reward system for the day ahead. Nutrition. Dopamine synthesis requires certain nutrients, especially the amino acid tyrosine. Good sources: poultry, chicken, turkey, dairy, cottage cheese, yogurt, cheese, bananas, avocados, seeds, legumes. Including these foods supplies your brain with raw materials to make dopamine. B vitamins, magnesium, and iron also support overall neurotransmitter balance. Sunlight. Daytime walks in sunlight boost neurotransmitter levels. Evidence suggests morning light triggers dopamine production, making it easier to get out of bed. Meditation and mental rest. Practices like meditation or breathing exercises help reset receptor sensitivity. Some studies find dopamine levels rise during meditation to post-session focus and sense of lightness. Even 10-15 minutes of quiet, gadget-free sitting daily can lower noise in your reward system. Close your eyes, play soft music, and let your brain rest. You'll literally feel more motivated and fresh afterward. Remember, big goals are achieved through a series of small steps, and at each step, your brain rewards you with dopamine hit, keeping you moving. Celebrate mini victories, discover something new in the familiar, and you'll feel motivation awaken. Yes, you'll face boredom and discomfort when you forgo cheap dopamine, but that boredom signals your brain is adapting and gearing up for greater sensitivity. In the end, you'll enjoy life's real achievements more than empty distractions. So, dopamine isn't an enemy or magic pill, it's our ally. When handled correctly, it sparks the drive to start new projects, learn and achieve. But in a world full of instant temptations, our dopamine mechanism easily misfires if we feed it only quick thrills. Luckily, we can consciously direct our reward seeking toward valuable gains. Swap 100 pointless injections of dopamine for a few meaningful boosts. Invest your dopamine in things that truly move you forward: exercise, skill building, creativity. It's harder in the moment but far more rewarding. Remember, big goals are achieved through a series of small steps, and at each step, your brain rewards you with a dopamine hit, keeping you moving. Celebrate mini victories, discover something new and familiar, and you will feel motivation awaken. Yes, you'll face boredom and discomfort when you forget cheap dopamine, but that boredom signals your brain isn't adapting and gearing up for greater sensitivity. In the end, you'll enjoy life's real achievements more than empty distractions. Bye! Final. Your brain is on your side. Dopamine can be your best friend on the path to your goals if you learn to work with it. Start small. Pick on habit to improve tomorrow. Sleep early. Go for a morning jog or read a few pages instead of scrolling your phone. Your brain will thank you with a drop of motivation. Step by step, that drop becomes a stream. You can hack your motivation, it just takes a choice, and dopamine will back you up. Let's go reach new heights with confidence and smile.